Friday, the 13th, 2024. If clerk, please count the roll.
Councillor Heath, present. Councillor Harder,
Present.
Councillor Cormier.
Present. Our first item on the agenda is a public hearing for item 11204, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Gardner, Chapter 600, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 24, entitled Public Prohibited on Certain Streets, Edgell Street from Elm Street to Lawrence Street. We will start if there is anyone here that would wish to speak in favor. I'll just ask you stand up, give us your name and your address, and then you can say your piece. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the item? Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the item? Anyone to speak in favor of the item? All right, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the item?
Yes.
If you could just,
make it.
whoever wants to go first, just,
Do you want
if
to
you can
speak or
come
do you
up.
want me to do it? Go ahead. You can talk. Hi, my name is Heather Mount and I'm representing a few of my neighbors. So I don't believe any of us are opposed to having parking on one side of the street. We get that. We're opposed to the signs, the placement of the signs, I should say. They are very kind of inappropriate for the side street neighborhood that we have. And I grew up there, and I've lived there for over 20, well, officially living there for the last 10, but forever, let's just say. And it's just really it's an eyesore. It's just kind of, again, not appropriate for the neighborhood. We'd love to have more time to come up with an option. A few of my neighbors that I spoke with, they would, the one that's at the corner, she just hates that it's like right in the middle of her yard where she looks out, and it's just ugly. She had suggested to put a sign at the beginning of Edgell Street, which would be the corner of Comey and Edgell, and then perhaps a placement further down, maybe Midway or by Westford would be the next one, and then just simply, I don't know if they can have a sign that just simply says, no parking, this side, whatever, and to somehow make it clear that it's the entire street and it's not just there, because typically you would have no parking here to the curb so people know it's from there to there. But to me, if you say no parking this side of the street at the beginning, perhaps somewhere in the middle, and then the end ones are fine because they're on a telephone pole. I think that should allow for the police to be able to ticket if needed. The other concern we have is, in some cases, if somebody's having a gathering, and like for my part of the street, which is the Lawrence Street side, and my neighbor happens to have like 5 or 6 cars of their own that they park every weekend, and then their friends come over. So every weekend, a good half of my property, if you will, just for a guide, down all the way theirs is full of cars. So if she would have friends over or something, they definitely wouldn't be able to park on her side. She's on the opposite of me, on the side that's no parking. She wouldn't be able to even park her car there for 10 minutes, if you will, to say unload her groceries or help somebody up the stairs or whatever, because that makes it tight there, and I get that. Last year she had construction, which I think contributed to why this may have happened. So these construction vehicles were there for several months. They had to park in front of her street. Where else were they going to park to unload and reload and things like that? Again, my neighbors who have a driveway insisted on parking, and they wouldn't, so it created this narrow throughway, which the ambulance have been up and down our street quite a bit. They are able to manage. And my family, I talked to them, they own woods, and they said it hadn't been an issue. And let's see, what else did I want to say? Oh, and so my neighbor wanted to know if she were to park temporarily in front of her home to unload groceries and things like that. She said she's actually afraid to leave the car for a minute because she's afraid it'll just happen to be the minute that the police drive by and ticket her. So we're wondering if there's any kind of forgiveness or circumstance that a car wouldn't be like ticketed, like if they're only there for 5 minutes or that kind of a thing. And again, we're not opposed to that. We're just opposed to the signs and to try and find another solution. Anybody else?
Good morning.
Morning.
I live at 118, which is almost across the street from here. My main thing with the signs, and I don't care what I do, now we have a different problem. We have a problem with cars going about 40, 50 miles an hour on the street. Being no cars on the side where our signs are at, it's kind of stupid. Now somebody's going to get hit. You know, I'm going to go wild. I don't go fast. We do see police once in a while go up the street. But if they want to really get some tickets out, I would park the car in my driveway. Seriously, you'll probably see, 10, 15 cars go by, and they're not going 10, 20 miles an hour. And there's kids in the neighborhood, which is kind of stupid. To me, if they're going to put signs up, put them on the side where people walk on the sidewalk. That would be a little bit safer than putting them on the side that don't have sidewalks. But she's absolutely right. My neighbors across the street have 8 cars. And they don't park them in the driveway, which they can park them in the driveway. They got 1 car in the driveway. And what's holding it is, like she says, she's got customers that come over, customers can't even get there. There's cars all the way up that street. And if a neighbor comes to one of our houses, they might find a place 8 houses down the street, so they might be able to park their car. And then, of course, those neighbors are gonna bitch because somebody's parking in front of their house.
Yeah, we have
It
that.
doesn't make sense. If you're gonna put those signs, I would put those signs where there's a lot of traffic. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of traffic on Edgewood Street, even just the people that live there, basically. But that's all I want to say. I'm opposed to the signs. I don't like them. I have a handicapped daughter. My daughter drives ambulances for Woods Ambulance. Been doing a long time because I've asked my daughter. She goes, they just don't know how to drive them. We have no problems with the ambulance. I mean, the ambulance is pretty big. Fire trucks, we talk to them. We have a little thing where they come over once a year. We hold a barbecue stuff for them. They have no trouble at all going up there with the ambulance, fire trucks. I've been here 9 years. I haven't seen any problems. There's plenty of room for everybody to get by. So I think they should take the signs and maybe, I hate to say it, but maybe put them down to the mayor's neighborhood. We don't want them in our neighborhood. That's all.
Can we just have your name for the record?
Sure, Frank Lajoie, Lajoie.
Thank you.
Amanda?
I don't have very good speaking skills, okay, so I'm just gonna throw this out there. I live at 124 Edgeo. We've lived here for about 12 years. If I have somebody over, there's nowhere for them to park. I feel guilty parking in front of her house instead of my own. My daughter was in town for a week, 2 weeks, and it was really hard to have an extra car in my driveway and try to get around it versus being able to park on the street. That's my concern.
Okay. Can we have your name, please?
Amanda Klepper, 124 Edgeo.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think that I'm 121 if you didn't catch this.
So
I didn't
she's
say
across
that.
the street.
My Edge's
Thank
sign.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition? Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? I have 2 texts. I have one from Bailey Burpee, who I believe is on 109.
Yep, they signed. I
Edge's
have
Street?
a petition too, by the way.
His message is, hello, this is Bailey Burpee, resident of Edgell Street. I also oppose this ridiculous parking ban on one side of the street situation. It's supposedly for emergency vehicles, which have never had any issue, which makes me think someone on the street just repetitively was complaining about cars being parked in front of their house. I don't think other people should have to suffer when the house that I live on has 5 cars. Our neighbor also has 5 vehicles and we have nowhere to put them unless we walk 40 feet down the street. Feel free to call or contact, as well as his wife, Mary Burpee, also reached out and said she does pose one-side parking and makes it difficult for elderly relatives visiting and is a strain for families with many cars. Our street is not one that is frequently traveled, such as downtown, and as I have mentioned, we did not have issues with my mother needing an ambulance, along with my next-door neighbor who recently needed them prior to her passing. Again, that was Brian and Mary Burpee speaking in opposition. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
I just have one more. So, a neighbor that was further down the street, it was a young boy, because his mom wasn't home, well, not young, like 18. And he had said that he doesn't like it because there is a house further down, 26 Edgel, it's a duplex, that they always have lots of people and they're always parking, so they're on the side that you guys are removing, you know, saying no parking. But he's like, now I have strangers parking in front of my house, and it's kind of creepy. It's basically what he said. So, again, obviously, you know, it's an issue. And if need be, we'd like to, you know, before you make a decision or something like that, let's try and come up with a solution, if possible. That's the other recommendation I have. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Then the public hearing section of this meeting is closed. I am going to take the next item out of order. We will actually discuss this ordinance 11204, an ordinance to amend this code of the city of Gardner, chapter 600, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, section 24, entitled Parking Prohibited on Certain Streets, Edgel Street from Elm Street to Lawrence Street. So now that we've had this public hearing, and had feedback from some of the residents. Chief, would you like to give any input on this?
Which, I'm sorry, Councilor?
On Edgel Street, do you have any input? Would you like to share?
Again, I don't have a particular issue with it. Obviously, we will respond to any complaints that come in. As for speeding vehicles, I have not received any emails or anything regarding speeding vehicles. I would encourage you to contact me directly. And I will assign officers down there to do traffic. I hear from Council Timo Munoz pretty regularly. And I try to address every matter that I can. Obviously, staffing like anything else, I can't dedicate an officer to the neighborhood. But calls permitting, I can certainly assign them down there for traffic enforcement.
I'm retired, so I sit on, the wife sit on the porch and want to have our coffee or whatever. And I don't want to keep, I understand your point, kids call, but I don't want to keep calling the police department. I think I said, this guy says plain call me at the
No, not at all, sir. What we can do is, we also have a trailer, a speed monitor. We can certainly put it down there as well. It's usually a notifier for people who are driving. I will say this, I mean, I think you'd be probably surprised at some of the speeds. 30 miles an hour in your neighborhood looks very fast.
Yeah.
Looks very fast. And unfortunately, it isn't 30 mile an hour zone. You can't, it's state regulated. So.
I'm like, that just gave me another thought. Back when, the speed limit used to be 25 in residential, what happened?
No, it's 30. It's by state law, it's 30.
Can you, as a city, change that, like for
There is-
streets like that?
There is a procedure for changing. There's like I think it might be like the town of Maynard or something. I believe they had the entire town because it's such a small and it's very thickly settled. There is a procedure for it. I'd obviously have to speak with the highway department
Right.
director and come up with a plan, or the city engineer, but there is a procedure for that, but under the Mass General laws, speed limits are set by statute.
Okay, so that changed?
Well, no, it's been quite some time because we get a lot of complaints on Betty Spring Road,
Oh, yeah.
and Betty Spring Road is a 40 mile an hour zone.
That's insane.
Well, I
And just
understand.
because it's so,
The structure of the road, yes, but it's not a thickly settled zone. There may be one area that's close,
it's
but I
also
don't.
narrow street, but yeah, I
It's still, you have to have houses within 200 feet of each other for a quarter mile to justify a 30 mile an hour zone.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of those houses are spread a little bit further apart
Yep.
out there. But I understand, I mean, as for, I can certainly bring the radar trailer down there. I can have officers sit down there when they can. But please, I encourage anybody to contact me directly regarding any speeding complaints or bring a counselor, and he'll reach out to me as well. I don't have a problem with it, I hope we understand that I can't just put an officer down there all the time.
Absolutely.
But I will definitely get what I can down there. As for the parking, my understanding is you need 36 feet of road to have parking on both sides. 10 feet for the travel lanes and 8 feet for the,
Yeah.
again, this is your neighborhood. I don't think it's necessarily right for us to dictate, or me to dictate. If you don't feel it's an issue or a concern, I mean, we have received complaints on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my only concern would be, and again, a cruiser can get through there. But my concern, obviously, if you said there's no issue with the ambulances, fire trucks are a little bit bigger.
Right.
Again, I would hate to see, granted there's access from both sides, but I would hate to see anything, happen that we couldn't address because of a parking issue. But I don't really have an opinion,
Sorry.
so no, please.
A conversation to try and a dialogue to try and go back and forth and say, hey, well, how about this? Or can we have some other restrictions? Or you don't have 5 vehicles, or I don't know, unless it's a party or something.
I think you're gonna find this in most neighborhoods.
It's changed, everybody has a vehicle, I know.
Right, and I think it eats up a lot of the real estate on the road very quickly.
Yeah.
I understand, and again, I'm not sure if you have a driveway, why you wouldn't use it, but that's just my opinion, I guess, on it.
Because they're
But
narrow,
that's just-
some of them are narrow,
Okay.
like say, they gotta do tandem and
Sure.
that stinks for them, but don't buy the house though.
Again, that's one of those questions that called myself up. I had parked my truck across the street one day for a few minutes where I ran across the street, and the neighbors actually called the police up because they said I was hindering traffic. I was parked on the sidewalk. We're getting there.
But they had
It's
10
just been
cars.
that- just been that before.
Well, it's a tit for tat neighbor.
There's gonna be a different type of trouble in there.
But anyway.
I understand the concern, and again, if they have to live in the neighborhood, I understand, we can sit and talk about an alternative. I mean, I don't know, is there certain sections of the roadway we could,
Yeah.
we could make parking on one side, or I'm just throwing options out
Yeah.
there. I don't know what would be viable or feasible.
Well, now that the deputy chief is back,
He's back.
I would
Yes, you
entertain
could.
any motions if we wanted to refer this back to the traffic commission so that they can have a meeting and anyone available can come and happily discuss with the traffic commission and put this before us in the first place.
Okay. So
If
how's
we
that?
have any motions.
I'll make a motion.
The traffic
To send
commission
this back to
it did originally discuss this and brought it forward.
for more time, so they can straighten all
It's gonna go back to them.
I will second that.
Okay, gotcha.
Sorry.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor Harden, second by Councilor Heath to refer this item back to traffic commission for study and report.
You guys just or do you care? It's just the signatures, people that are here today.
I will, yeah, we will take a
Okay.
copy of
Of
that.
course, I forgot to make a copy, but, ran out of the house. Anyway, there you go. I have no proof now.
If you want to put it into today's minutes, and then we'll put it in referral to traffic, please. So we have a motion by Councilor Harden, second by Councilor Heath to refer back to traffic for study and report. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion passes. So the item will go back to the traffic commission and we can have further discussion on this item.
Okay, motion passes, meaning the signs is.
Meaning this
Oh,
item is now back in front of traffic to see if we can
come up
have,
with a solution.
if they can, address
Okay.
this solution.
Okay, does that mean they'll reach out to us,
So
or how
meaning-
does that work?
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll make sure that
Okay.
you guys are notified.
so there's a dialogue, got it. Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 11349, application by Eco 89 LLC for license to deal in secondhand articles at 677 Tiffany Boulevard inside Walmart. Chief,
No issues, long-term business.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Do you know if there's any issues tax-wise? Because usually that's where we get for.
Let me tell you, I'm not sure.
If you can, before the next meeting, just let us know if there are any issues with the city. Usually the clerk will tell us if they're in good standing as far as their taxes go.
Gotcha.
Waiting on that, I can still entertain a motion to recommend.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to recommend or refer this to the full council as presented.
Second.
We're recommending for approval
Approval.
to the full council by Councilor Harden, second by Councilor Heath. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Item 11350, an application by Gardner 10 Pins Incorporated for a bowling alley license at 560 West Broadway.
I have no issues with this, Brian.
And again, if you can, just let us know before the next council meeting. That said, in light of getting that information, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to refer it to the council as presented for approval.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Harden, second by Councilor Heath to recommend approval to full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Any new business? Councilor Heath?
None?
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Heath, second by Councilor Harden to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Right.